me it's just the actual people coming in and enjoying the day, and it's free, which I think is a great thing.
Well, they're very important because half the time people don't know these places exist, and if they come in and they have a good day, word then gets round. More people will use these places.
It's been brilliant. We've had lots of people turn up, lots of families, lots of older people as well that have been talking about their local heritage, how they grew up and used to swim in the moat at the fort, for example. So that's been really good.
My name's Peter Hugh. I'm a volunteer that believes in the regeneration of Tilbury. Well, the Riverside project's got several projects now. One aim is to open up the walkway between Tilbury Fort and Coalhouse Fort at East Tilbury. This we named the Two Forts Way. We also work now on a project which is a meadow garden and wildlife sanctuary. And now, which I'm over the moon with, at long last we've come in partnership with the English Heritage and the Civic Trust on the Heritage Open Day.
We've called it the Tilbury Riverside Trail, and as part of that we've got walk and talks running throughout the day. We've got minibus tours that are going around the town where people are talking about the local heritage of the town. And we've also got a bus going up to the Barton Museum as well for their Heritage Open Days event.
Well, they get a little bit of history, a bit of enjoyment, and hopefully they'll take it further. You know, they'll enjoy other places. The chapel. It's the Garrison Chapel. It's one of the oldest in the country. You can see how thick the walls are. Even the chapel was made to be reasonably impregnable against cannonball. You're probably asking yourselves, it's a small chapel for the garrison, but it was for their officers and the families only. Didn't matter what the weather was, the poor old men were out there on the parade ground having their church parade. You look down there, you see all the niches in the wall all the way along, the little V's. They're right at the full length. That's the west gun line. The fort was built to be defensive. It was to defend those gun lines. Out of interest, across the river, Gravesend, can you see that church steeple, white one, poking up with a clock on it? That's where Pocahontas is buried. There we are, nice bit of history.
Well, I'm doing the minibus tours, and it's quite funny. We've had good, interesting feedback from the people, from what I've spoken to, and of course we had a crush at the fort when we got down there and people wanted to get on. Welcome everyone to this little tour. You'll be going down and seeing the fort and other features. So for those who have lived in Tilbury for many years, you'll get your memories come back to you on various things. And for those that have never been in Tilbury, you'll have a laugh and a giggle and find out what the youth of yesteryear done as a part and parcel of their growing up.
This is called the Dead House because it was a mortuary and a pest house and a storeroom over its period. Anything that was contagious, they would be brought up here, and if they died, that's why there's a trapdoor. Cart would pull up underneath, the trap would be lifted, down would go the body, and they wouldn't bother up the graveyard. It was contagious, so they'd go straight onto the marsh and just bury them. There were no hanging facilities in the fort. But out there, on that open field, it's called Gallows Common. Exactly because of that, that's where the gallows stood. And felons were buried on the marsh as well when they were hung.
Beware the gun firing. And one gun. Fire. And that is how artillery is fired.
At this moment in time, we're standing in Tilbury Cruise Terminal. Now, this cruise terminal was actually built in the 1920s. The ideas being that the cruise terminal will then tie in with the rail stations, and also it was the Tilbury ferry across from Gravesend, and still remaining as an upgraded section of the cruise terminal. In the centre here is the booking office. There are the hatches for the ticket issue. And as a person that worked in the dock years ago, I well recall that. There were waiting rooms over here in the background. First and second class in those days they used to run. This is still used because you've got extended ramps to the actual cruise liners down there. And in that corner, I will recall, there was a wooden structure stood there for many, many years, and that was run by Thomas Cook, the tour agents, and of course they're still going.
These are the underground magazines, Victorian. Up above you'd have had the standard coast defence gun, which was a 9-inch rifled muzzle loader. As you go down, some of the rooms were for powder and some were for shells. This is one of 2 main powder magazines. 3,800 barrels of powder, 100-pound barrels, were stored in each of these magazines. Have a look, there's displays there, and I'll wait for you outside. I think it went very well. We've done very well this morning. We've had quite a few through and they all seem to have enjoyed the day, so I'm quite happy.
But there's been a steady flow of people all day, which I'm pleased about, because to get people, you know, sort of motivated and to come along to things is quite difficult, and I'm quite pleased with the turnout.
It's really important because a lot of what people have seen today, for example, the cruise terminal that's open and the behind the scenes tours at the fort, people wouldn't normally be able to come along and see, which is the whole point of Heritage Open Days, for us to open up to new audiences.
People that are coming down and learn understanding what our waterfront's about, what it's been about and what we're trying to do with it. And I'm pleased that English Heritage gave us the money to assist us in doing that. I'm very pleased.